Hey traders, Jason here from Leavitt Brothers. The market is quietly gaining some strength. It's been mostly neutral going back a few months. There have been a few periods where it's looked decent and other periods where things have pointed down. Overall, it's been pretty neutral and completely void of either the bulls or the bears being in any type of control. But things seem to be getting a little better. Okay, so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to offer some trading ideas for the market's next leg up. Okay, now this leg might be starting now, or it might not be starting. It might not start for a few weeks or a little while. Nobody really knows. Okay, but I do know that while the indexes are trading up and down in a range and being mostly non-directional, there are some really good individual stocks and individual trades to be had out there. Okay, so I'm going to pull up my TC2000 platform. This is just a charting platform. Not has nothing to do with trading. I've been using TC2000 since 2000. It was like one of the first things I got when I started trading. Up until recently, I used the old version 7, but they've just forced me to upgrade to the newest version 18. I'm still getting used to it, so if I wrongly click a button here, got me some slack. All right, let's get into it. Let's look at some trading ideas. Okay, here's AD. Okay, just for the setup here, I have the weekly chart on the left and the daily chart on the right. When I'm doing research, I have it like this. Sometimes I have an hourly up too, so as I flip through charts, I can very quickly see the weekly, the daily, and the hourly, and it gives me a quick glimpse of what's going on. All right, so that's the setup here, so you know what I'm looking at. All right, so with ADAP, I really like what's going on here. And I'm going to draw on these charts as we go. So you can see over on the weekly here, we have a resistance level here. We got a breakout. Okay, then we have a base at a higher level. Okay, and then it broke out again and it's grinding higher. Okay, I'm probably not going to chase it here. You can actually see that today. Okay, I'm recording this during the day, so prices are going to move as I record. We have a breakout here. I think the chart is in play. If you want to chase it here, you can. Okay, and put a stop below the low here, or you can hope for some sort of a pullback. Okay, you can see on the weekly that has been kind of grinding up without much of a pullback. So you could hope for a pullback, or more aggressive traders, short-term traders could just jump in right here with a stop below the low. Okay, overall, really like what's going on. I like the base. I like the base at a higher level than the subsequent breakout. You can see the volume down here. To me, everything looks good. All right, Autodesk comes with a little bit more risk. Okay, over here on the daily, you can see big gap here in November, big gap up in March. Okay, overall, you can see over here with the weekly, chart's been trending up for quite a while, since the middle of 2016, but we've had these gaps, so that increases the risk. I look at this, when I see this, I see a range forming like this. Okay, I personally, because of these gaps, I want a lower risk entry, so I'm not going to chase a higher high here, but I do think as long as the market holds up, at the very least dips within this range will be playable. Okay, AMAG, okay, what we have here, okay, you have the weekly chart here, you have a breakout, you can see the big volume here. Okay, now we're kind of forming a base at a higher level while the 50-week moving average starts to curl up. Okay, I should have mentioned that the blue line is the 50 and the red line is the 200. Okay, so I kind of like this. I at the very least, okay, if we come over here, let me see if I could. No, it's not going to work. So at the very least, if I'm looking at the weekly, at the very least, I think we can get a move up to 25, and if things are acting really well, we can probably go higher, even up to 30. Okay, and you can see that on the daily chart, we're making a new high right now. Personally, I'm not in. Okay, but it's on my radar. It's something I'm considering, but I'm not in right now. All right, booking holdings looks good to me. What I see here on the weekly is I see kind of a breakout here at 2000. Then I see a base forming at a higher level. I like these types of setups. I like a base, I like a breakout, and then I like a base forming at a higher level. It gives you a lower risk entry. It's like, a classic Darvish box type of setup. over here on the daily, I should probably draw on that bigger. You can see the box form between like 2,000 and 2,200. Okay, so it's an expensive stock. It doesn't have a lot of volume, so the spread's going to be pretty big. You have to decide for yourself how you want to trade that. But the structure of the chart's very good. Stock looks really good to me. All right, BSTI Software Company. Okay, the weekly, harder to read. Okay, stock went public last year, big drop, big rally all the way back. The daily, though, looks really good. This is what I see in the daily. So I see a base here. Then I see kind of a consolidation pattern at a slightly higher level, and then I see a breakout from this consolidation level. Okay, so I like the sequence here. I like bases, I like breakouts from bases, I like consolidation levels, consolidation patterns at higher levels. You can see where it got above, right over here, it got above the 50, came down and tested the 50 there, tested the 50 there, tested the 50 there. So this stock is in play. Okay, right now it's pulling back. You can hope for a pullback, and you can buy a pullback, or you can just maybe a pattern, maybe a little flag pattern sets up here, and you can play a breakout. But it's in play. It's on the list. Bzoon. Okay, stock's doing great. A lot of overlapping candles, a lot of gaps, a lot of inconsistent movement. So you got to take that into consideration. But overall, chart looks great. Okay, I see a base here, rally up, base, breakout. Now we have a base at a higher level. Really like that type of action. Here's the base on the daily chart. It's in play. Okay, it's in play. Dips are buyable with stops, in place. If the market does well, the stock will go, could go 10, 15 bucks higher. So everything looks good about this stock. The entry is a little bit harder because of the, all the overlapping candles. It's kind of a volatile stock. CCJ, this is a recent trade of ours. Okay, you can see the breakout here, gets above resistance, gets above its 50, then gets above its 200. Okay, forms a base up here at a higher level, moves up to, breaks out and goes. Now we're forming another base. Stock looks good to me. So it's already on our list. It's been on our list for the last month or so. Not month, but a couple weeks. So I think dips are playable here. If we get a mature flag pattern to form, I think a breakout's playable also. Coupon's been profiled at Leavitt Brothers. All right, so we got, on the weekly chart, we have a breakout here. We got a nice triangle pattern. Stock finds some support at its 50-week moving average. Breaks out and runs up. You can see over here on the daily, you have resistance here. Another little triangle pattern on the daily, and then you have here. We have lots of support along the 50-day moving average. So things look good. It just broke out. It's following through right now. I wouldn't chase it here, but if we get any type of base at a higher level, you can probably buy a dip within that base, and market cooperates. This thing's going to go up into the 60s. Express, a weaker stock overall, but is starting to turn the corner. So what I see here on the weekly, I guess you have to kind of look closely, is that the stock gets above its 50-week moving average, and so far it's spent like 5 weeks above, consolidating above that 50-week moving average. So it's establishing itself. I like that. I like when stocks struggle, but then they move up and they establish themselves at a higher level. And you can see on the daily chart, we have a base here. And you can see some support here at both the 200 and the 50. Okay, so I like the stock. We got a gap here above. I think there's like some thin air over here, so you could play a breakout with a tight stop, or maybe we get a pullback within this range. Okay, it's neutral right now. Okay, it doesn't have any strength, but I think it does have potential to move up a couple points. GoDaddy's been on the list for. It's been on the list several times going back a few months. Okay, it's been riding its 50-day up. It's kind of hard to ignore when the stock just kind of goes, rides its 50 up. So we're already in the stock. It's got a resistance level here. It broke out. gapped up today. I wouldn't chase it, but as long as the market continues doing well, I think dips back to the 50 are going to be playable. MIME, okay, nice trend on the weekly. On the daily, it looks great. Look at the sequence of events that play out here. I mean, this is perfect to me. Stock bases. Let me get rid of this. All right, so you can zoom in a little bit. All right, so the stock bases here jumps above its 50 on strong volume, comes back down and tests the 50 here, and then rallies up. I love the sequence. I love when a stock goes above and below a moving average, moves above, then comes down and finds support there, and then takes off. Okay, that sequence of events is something I look for all the time. All right, so it rallied up, came back down, tested this again, formed a resistance level here, and just broke out. Okay, so I don't know if I would chase it up here, but if we get any type of range that forms up here, I certainly think you can buy a dip back to the resistance level, or if the uptrending 50 kind of meets you. So I think it's in play. I wouldn't chase it, but it's in play, so keep it on your list. Nike's been doing great. A lot of retailers are doing great. Nike's especially doing great, especially for a big company. It's not the kind of stock that I want to chase higher. It's just the way it is. The personality of the stock is I'd rather buy a pullback than chase it higher. So we got a big consolidation pattern forming here. Would prefer buying near the bottom of the range instead of, again, as a breakout. But overall, the stock looks great, and if the market cooperates, I could see this thing definitely moving up 10 points. I get that from over here, where the last, it took out its high over here at 60, moved up to 70, so I'd project that up to 80. But again, I'd rather buy a pullback than a breakout. Overall, things look good. NTNX, obviously doing very well. Another software company. The software is doing really great overall. So here we have a new high here. Just broke out. We've talked about this on the message board at Leavitt Brothers. We have basically the same highs or close to it. Higher lows, gets scooped up right here by its 50, moves up, takes out resistance. This is all-time high for the stock. So things look good. It's on the list. Okay, you can get in here, zoom in with like a 60 or 30-minute chart to find out where your stop is. You don't want to chase it. You can wait. Maybe it flags up here and then breaks out again. Maybe you get a pullback within the pattern to buy. Okay, but keep it on your list. It has good potential. OKTA, this one's been profiled at Leavitt Brothers a few times. Obviously, it's done very well. On the weekly chart here, we have a base that lasted several months and it broke out and ran. Over here on the daily, I think we had posted over here and it kind of broke out and grinded up. I wouldn't chase it here, but to me, it's on the list. Okay, you gotta kind of keep not a huge list, but a decent sized list, because stocks kind of take turns doing well. You'll have a handful of stocks do well, and then those stocks will kind of fall off and drift sideways, and then like a new batch of stocks will kind of take the leadership role. So when I say put it on the list, I mean, hey, I'm not going to play it right now, but you never know, in a month after, when nobody's paying attention to it, it might set up nicely, and like it might be the next 20% mover. You don't know. So keep it on the list, check it out each day, see how it's acting, and maybe you get an entry at a later date. Shopify, if I back this up, Shopify is something I started posting Shopify months ago, way back when it was consolidating over here. Here's the daily chart. So once it established itself, it's a great company, it's a great business model. Once it established itself up here in this range, I was suggesting let's buy dips within the range. It eventually broke out, ran up, came all the way back down to the range, and got scooped up by its 200-day moving average. I still like the company. Would I chase it here? No. But if it establishes a range, let me redraw that. If it establishes a range up here between like 110 and wherever the highs are, then I do think dips within this box are buyable, with reasonable stops. I mean, the trend is up. Sometimes you just have to look at a chart and say, hey, the trend is up until it's not, and you just got to keep playing it. TWLO, education company. Lots of gaps, lots of inconsistent movement. We're currently in the stock. I liked it because, you know, you had this kind of this base here, and then it broke out and formed a base at a higher level. And I like that sequence. I like when stocks break out and then form a base at a higher level. Oops. So it shows up here well on the daily chart where it broke out, and then it found support at the top of at the previous high. So I continue to like the stock, but it's not the kind of stock that I'm going to chase higher. I want to buy a dip just because it's like it has a lot of erratic movement. All right, next chart. TLND. Okay, obviously doing very well. Okay, we got a base up here. You know, it broke out. 3 consecutive up days, volume very good on 2 of those days. With bases at a higher level, and then breaks out again. I'm not going to chase it higher, but it's one of those stocks that's on the list. And if we get, you know, if the market corrects a little bit and this stock pulls back to 50, and that's the top of the previous range, and the 50-day moving averages moves up there, then we probably get a low risk entry for the next leg up. Overall, the stock looks really good. It's a software infrastructure stock, which, you know, that group has done incredibly well. TWLO had earnings yesterday or this morning, I don't know which, but the stock gapped up. It's currently on our list. Let's zoom out. This has actually been on our list for quite a while. I really liked this base. So I posted it here. It based, and then we had, so it broke out, then it formed base at a higher level, and then broke out again. So if I zoom in with the daily, there was also a trade there, and of course my line's not going to be perfect. I'm just drawing this live and as we go. There was also a base there. There was a resistance level here, but not playable because of today's gap. But anyways, stock's doing incredibly well. No way do I chase it here. I wouldn't even consider it. But it's in play. It's on the list, and if you know, it's something to consider going forward if you haven't considered it before. As far as our subscribers go, I would be advising them to take profits because, like I said, it's been on our list for the last month or so. All right, Twitter. Twitter's a tough one. I like what they're doing. I like the company. I don't know what the trade is though. Okay, so I'm just kind of posting it as an idea. I see a kind of consolidation pattern forming here. But it's below the low, and obviously you have a breakdown here and then a consolidation pattern. I guess you can call it at a lower level. Okay, I like the company, but I think it comes with added risk. I think this is the type of company that can gap up or gap down 20% at any time. Okay, so because of that, I'd much rather buy a dip within an established range rather than chasing a breakout. It's just the way I'd feel more comfortable doing that with this stock. Oops. Okay, so here's UPLD. I like the structure here. Is this going to work? Okay, you got a big rally, consolidate for several months, breaks out. Now it's consolidating at a higher level. Okay, so I like the stock. I like the structure of it. The issue I have is that the volume isn't very high, so I'm probably not going to play it. But I'm posting it as an idea. Some of you may like it. Okay, it looks good to me. But you know, volume's an issue. All right, let's something happened to my, there we go. All right, let's got a couple more here. Visa's a stock that's currently on our list. Okay, got resistance level here, find support at the resistance level. Now it's breaking out, and now it's moving away from that former resistance level. I like the stock. Company's done incredibly well. I don't chase it here, but you know, if we get some sort of a range that establishes itself above the previous range, then we'll get, you know, then we'll have an opportunity to buy a dip for another move up. Market cooperates. The stocks, you know, should go up to 135, 140 fairly easily. Okay, Workday. Like the sequence that I've talked about before, where it gets above a moving average and then comes down and tests it. It played out well here. You can see the stock on the weekly moved above the moving average, below the moving average, above, and then over here it found lots of support at the moving average, and then traded up. Okay, and then there's one more touch here. Stock trades kind of erratically. There are gaps, lots of overlapping candles. Some of the movement is not really consistent, but I really like the company overall. Okay, I look at it in terms of like a range forming here, and again, it's not a perfect range. I'm not going to chase it higher, especially since it's gone up like 6-7 days in a row, but it's the type of stock that I would be buying a dip. Okay, and if the market cooperates, this stock will go 150, 160 without much problem. Okay, two more. WUBA. Okay, nice consistent uptrend here on the weekly. Again, you have a stock that gets above the 50. You get a touch there, then it takes off. That sequence plays out a lot. Check it out if you don't. Okay, on the daily, so you have a fairly big consolidation range here. You can draw resistance however you want. Bottom line is you have a fairly big resistance range, and it just broke out. Okay, so it's on the radar. You got to check it out. This is new all-time high. So if it flags here, you can play a breakout. If it doesn't flag, but it pulls back to like the 50, you can buy a pullback. But overall, it should be a stock that you keep it on your list, check it out. Like some of the other stocks, it's not a stock that I want to chase higher because of the inconsistency. There's a lot of instances where the stock goes up, 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 and then just down, down, down. I don't want to be caught in that, so I'd rather buy a dip than chase a breakout. Last one, Zendesk. We've been in this one for a while. I've profiled it several times. You can see lots of support at the 50. Boom, 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 boom. Lots of support there. There are several entries here. The stock doesn't trade smoothly. It doesn't like move up and trade in a nice, box pattern and then break out and leg up and then consolidate again. It usually just kind of grinds, and there's some random movement. So it's a tough one to trade. I wouldn't chase it higher, but if you get a pullback to the 50, then I do think it's playable. All right, so that's all I have for you now. Let me see if I can get rid of this. Okay. So thanks for listening. That's all I have for you now. Come check us out at Leavitt Brothers. If you like this format, if you like me pulling up like live charts and actually drawing lines and talking about trading ideas, let me know in the comment section below. And come check us out at Leavitt Brothers. Okay, leavittbrothers.com and leavittbrothers.net, where we provide trading ideas and market analysis. If you're not ready to subscribe, that's fine. There's a link in the notes below where you can sign up for our email list to be alerted of new content, or you can subscribe to our channel right here at YouTube. Okay, again, thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.